Got a baking day happening today here at Suan Sook Homestay, so I thought I'd share a little bit about what I'm doing. Baking a couple of loaves of sourdough bread and some pies. The bread for me is pretty standard, but the pies are new to me. I'm just experimenting. Gotta love a good Kiwi meat pie, so thought it's about time I tried to make some. So let's have a look at these and then we'll check out what I've been doing in the garden. Not too bad, not too bad. This week it's been time for me to propagate some more comfrey. It's growing really well and we've had a few people that want to order some more from us, so it's about digging out what we've got. And this is a little bit tricky because it's on this bank here. It's an ideal location for the comfrey because it gets enough shade and enough sunshine. It's a good balance. You can see how well it's growing. But it does make it really difficult when I've got to dig it out. So some of this will be sharing with others and some of it will be going back into the ground in our garden in a flat location that gets good sunshine and a decent amount of shade as well. It seems to like that balance, but it's going to definitely be put back into an area of the garden where it's easier for me to dig it up. And when I'm digging up the comfrey, I'm not aiming to get every little piece of root out of the ground, because if I leave some there, it's going to sprout again and come back and keep growing for us. And this is one thing I love about comfrey, that it just grows so easily. You do have to make sure when you are planting comfrey that you plant it somewhere where it can just enjoy being there and that you're not going to want to move it or get rid of it. Because when you do dig it up, it's highly likely that some of the roots are going to break off and just continue to grow. Comfrey does put down deep roots, and this is one of the reasons it's such a good dynamic accumulator in your garden. It draws up those nutrients from deep in the soil, but the roots also break off reasonably easily, so they stay there. So if you are planting comfrey, plant it somewhere it can stay and just enjoy being such a good part of your garden. It's a fabulous plant. It really is wonderful to have this growing in your garden because it can give so much back to your garden. I'll divide this comfrey up into pieces with crowns. So if I've got some growing pieces of leaf in there, I cut the leaves off them so that they are not working too hard to photosynthesize or losing too much water when they're just at this rooting stage. But I find when I have got some crown attached, they're virtually 100% sure to keep growing. The other way I'll propagate is to cut off or break off pieces of the root and just lay these in pots with maybe 1 centimetre or 1.5 centimetres of soil over them. I lay them down horizontally, not vertically. In doing this, then they are more likely to sprout from both ends of the root, so eventually you'll get 2 crowns. It's important to keep them moist as they're sprouting, as they're continuing to grow, before you then plant them back into your garden. Once they've sprouted, once they've got some new leaves, once the crown's looking healthy, you can very carefully, easily put them back into the garden and they'll just keep growing. They're not particularly fussy. They do not like sitting in a lot of water. And of course, as with anything that you grow, the better quality the soil is for that plant, the more comfortable it is to be established and to grow for you. But I've actually grown comfrey in some of the worst soil that we've got here. It does grow, but just not as quickly as when we plant it in good soil. It's always wonderful to be propagating, to be creating new plants from plants that we've already had growing in our garden, whether it's by taking root cuttings like these or growing from seed or growing from above ground cuttings. All the different ways that we like to reproduce what we've already got and to multiply what we've already got fits with our style of life. It seems like the older I get, the less I want to buy stuff from outside, that it's much more interesting to be creative. It's much more fulfilling to be creative and to grow what we can in our garden to satisfy ourselves, whether that's for eating or for pleasure, just to have beautiful flowers to look at and enjoy, or for growing the comfrey, which we don't eat. We don't really use very much of it in any other way except for putting it back into the garden to provide goodness for those plants that we do eat and that do produce flowers. We do actually make a comfrey balm from this, and that has been extremely effective for me in some instances of reducing pain and providing healing for some muscle pain that I had a while ago. And then the next little task I had was to come and weed around our passion fruit. This passion fruit, I've planted 2 of them in here, and they have taken off and just overwhelmed the teepee that they were growing over. So I've had to support the teepee. I've had to add some other pieces of bamboo and some structure in here to try and stop it from falling over because the weight of it was just too much. It has started to give us some flowers, which I'm very excited about, because I've been trying to grow passion fruit here for the whole time that we've been living here. And I'll get plants to grow, but they won't flower, or sometimes they just won't grow at all. But this time round, these ones have taken off. We've actually also got some other ones over in the greenhouse area where our lotus and adenium and stuff is, and they're also growing well, producing some flowers and just a little bit of fruit so far, but not very much. Our soil here is not quite acidic enough for passion fruit. They do like acidic soil. So what I've been doing in the time when we've got a lot of pomelo, which is a citrus fruit, some of these fall to the ground, they're no good, so I will slice them open with my spade and then just drop them in and around the passion fruit, because then this will provide a little bit more acidity for the soil. And also made some compost out of the fallen pomelo when we had a lot, and applied these to the passion fruit as well, just to hopefully give them a bit of boost so that they'll give us a bit of fruit, because it's one of my absolute favourite fruits. I love passion fruit. And then a few days later, I was back working with the comfrey again. I'd taken note that it was in this area. It is really putting on a lot of leaves and flowers. The flowers are spent now and the leaves are starting to look a bit sad. So I thought, okay, I'm going to come in and harvest it all. So I've come in and just, cut away at it. It's very soft. It's really easy to harvest. And I know for sure that now it's been growing in this area for 3 or 4 years. It's just going to keep coming back and coming back no matter how often I cut it back. So I'm cutting this back and then adding it into our compost, where it's going to give us lots of good potassium and nitrogen and phosphorus, and it will break down quite quickly because the leaves are quite soft and they really do help accelerate the decomposition in your compost. I'm just starting a new bin of compost. I've got more bamboo leaves. I've definitely got lawn clippings at this time of the year and our household scraps that I'll be just adding into this, along with some PSB and some biochar and the other bits and pieces that we like to add into our compost. But it's really great to have a good basket full of comfrey to include in this batch of compost. I hope you're enjoying these videos. If you are, please click that like button, and if you're new here, subscribe so that you can stay up to date with everything that's happening in the garden here at Suan Sook Homestay. On Sunday we were down at the market, the big rural market that happens nearby our home, and we were there primarily to buy some vegetable seedlings. So we've got some salad seedlings today. I've got a tray with 3 different types, and this cost me about $5 US or so. So it's very, very cheap. It's really easy. It's so much easier than trying to grow salad seedlings by ourselves that we haven't had much success with. And as I said in a previous video, I love planting stuff in the garden. I really enjoy getting into the garden and planting, particularly when it's food, so that we know that we're going to be enjoying some good food in the weeks and months to come. And then here are some of the beans. This is where I planted the beans a couple of weeks ago. Something's been eating them, but I've been spraying them with our lemongrass spray that I've made, and this is having an effect. It's having a positive effect on them. And then over here are our Uncle Leo tomatoes that we planted. Normally we don't plant them out this early. We planted them out in July, at the very end of July, beginning of August, and it's just wonderful to see them really getting a good start. Let's have a look at how these pies are doing. Not too bad, not too bad. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this other update from the gardens here at Suan Sook Homestay. If you'd like to see more of what we're doing here, I'm sure you'll enjoy watching this video next. And thanks very much for watching this one all the way through.